The views and opinions expressed during Love and Life with Lena and Dave are those only of the speakers and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or the position of our podcast hosts or affiliates. Any content provided is not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, anyone, or anything. All right, let's do it.
You're listening to Love and Life with Lena and Dave, the podcast where logic is power and you take control. Thank you for tuning in, making the choice to listen in and get ideas for your own love and life. Now, here are your hosts, Lena Williams and David Vaccaro.
I'm not Lena.
I am not Dave.
That's right. Well, you're Lena.
Listen,
I'm
Lena and you're not.
That's right. And I'm Dave and you're not.
Yep.
And we have a very interesting show this week. Ooh,
we do this week.
I did say this week. Look at me go, Pat.
Oh, what a good boy. This is because
that's because
we've been drilling it into you.
You have. You've been drilling it into my head, and I don't want to get reprimanded no more.
Nope, I don't blame you.
Right.
Not by me, because I'm so mean, you know.
Yeah, she's a mean
I'm
girl.
a mean person.
Not at all. She's an
We are going to talk about social media this week. And some of the ups and downs of social media.
Mm-hmm.
The history of social media.
Okay.
And not a really long history, but just like kind of how social media, you know, what it used to be and how it is now. It's like a daily life for people at this point, but it didn't used to be.
And we're actually going to talk a little bit about, too, the show, Social Dilemma, that was on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. Because I'm an AI guy. I do tech, right? And one of the things that I put in all my tech is artificial intelligence. And it can be a wonderful thing, but it can be a very dangerous thing, too, especially if people push it in a direction that I think that social media has been going lately. I despise what they're doing. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that as well.
Right. Definitely.
Yes.
Just the reality that people live every day, and I don't know if it's how, I really don't know how to explain that people should do it. Maybe they should write it down and put it on their fridge. Maybe they should write something on their mirror in their bathroom, but just something that says, you know, let me back out and look at the big picture here and, you know, not either spend hours on social media or like getting too caught up in like the little details and weird drama of social media, because it could seem like a little world in there, and technically really it isn't, and it is constructed to, let's just be honest, like I'm not the biggest conspiracy theorist, but when it comes to what makes people do what they do, I'm kind of more of a psychoanalyst than I am a reactive person.
Right.
So when I see people doing things, I'm kind of like, you know, this is this is always running through my head, the phrase, that's what they would want you to do. That's exactly what they would want you to do. That goes through my head a lot.
Right. And
with social media, that's how I feel.
There is a thing called brainwashing, right? And it's done through psychology. And, you know, listen, we can go all the way back to, it was years ago, and it was all over the news. Facebook accidentally, they claim, they did this thing where they changed everybody's feed who's normally a positive person.
That wasn't very long ago, actually.
That was a few years back, though.
It was, but it wasn't a few. It was maybe 5.
Yeah.
It wasn't a long time.
Right.
Sorry.
So, yeah.
You made it seem like, you know.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, it was still years ago. It was maybe 5 years ago, maybe a little more than that. I don't know. But anyway, you could look it up, and you probably won't even find it now. That's the sad thing. But it was on the news. Facebook actually did this test where they put anybody who was very positive on Facebook all the time, they literally filled their news feed with only the negative comments of their friends, and to see if they could manipulate that person into being negative. And guess what? It worked 98.9%. It changed people. 98.9%. It changed them negative.
They also did an experiment, didn't they, where they positioned or prioritized feeds based on attitude. So they actually took people that had positive feedback at some point and prioritize those people at the top.
Right.
There's also something called, what is it called? Shadow. Oh, what's that word? It's kind of like you go online and you do what you got to do. There's of course I'm not ready with it because I'm all ready to talk about it and forget the word. It's been a long day.
It has. We're actually recording this late.
It starts with shadow. So here's what we're going to do. I'm actually going to
Google it. And I'll talk a little bit about something else while you Google it.
Yes.
And it's based on that same thing. So.
Oh, I can't minimize it. So let's see. I can't.
You can't?
See.
Well, you can open a.
Well, hold on. I'm in the middle of.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm going to try to open a browser on top of this.
Okay, you should be able to. So anyway, there's this test that's and you guys may have seen it. It's actually all over Facebook. It's a video. In fact, I posted it. If you're friends with me on Facebook or if you follow me on Facebook, you'll see it way down my feed somewhere. But there's a video where they did this test to this poor girl, and she walks into an elevator and turns around and pushes the button, and you face the door like we all do. Right? Mm-hmm. That's what we've all been doing for years and years and years. And what happened is they put a bunch of people on the elevator, and everybody that got on the elevator faced the back wall. They got on and they turned around and faced the back wall. Right? Yeah. And they did. And you know, by fourth floor, that poor girl felt so uncomfortable. And you can see her uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. Yeah. She literally turned around and faced the back wall. Instead of saying, hey, what are you guys doing, you weirdos? Nope. She took the mob and said, I must be doing something wrong. Even though, I mean, that's a gaslight right there. If I've ever seen it, they're basically telling her, no, you're wrong, even though she's known it to be right for so long. And she believed she was wrong. Or
that's what I call it. There we go. So let me just say shadow banning. That's the word we're looking for.
Banning.
And shadow banning is a thing where it's something that you wouldn't realize because you're just posting and doing your thing.
Right.
But if somebody feels like, if the algorithm or somebody on the back end of the app feels like, they don't, for some reason, they don't prioritize your stuff in the feed. And if you get shadow banned, you become a really hard searchable topic or a subject in the app. So you'll just be doing your thing. And when somebody goes to search for you, like you literally don't come up in a search.
Right.
Like somebody's got to, I think, type your entire screen name out verbatim, like letter by letter to get to find you. That's what shadow banning is. I just didn't want to forget to say that. So, but I also want to say this. There was do you remember, was it ABC? Who did that show, What Would You Do? Was it ABC that did that?
Yeah, I think it was.
So they did a thing on Hive Mind. And Hive Mind is a crazy thing. Like you go to the bathroom and somebody is in the stall next to you and you're like, why is somebody in the stall next to me? It's like 14 stalls. And why does the person come in have to be the stall next to mine? Or why is the person in the parking lot me and one person and there's 100 spaces? Why do they have to park next to me?
Right.
There's a really weird thing that human nature does, and it's kind of a hive-minded thing. So there was an episode they did where a bunch of people in a doctor's office, which you might remember because I think we discussed this. So they set it up so that there's this, like, everybody's sitting in this doctor's office and a bell goes off. I think it's like every minute or so. And everybody in the doctor's office just stands up and sits down. So they bring this girl in. This new girl comes in, and she watches everybody else like once or twice. And she's like, what is happening? What are these people doing? Mm-hmm. And at the third bell, I think, she finally stands up with everybody else because she doesn't ask any questions. She just starts to do what they're doing. She follows
them. Yeah.
And it's a psychological experiment. And then at some point, they replace the people in the room. And I forget how long it is that it goes on, but she starts to become a habit to her, and she starts to continue doing it despite everybody that was there before leaving.
Right.
And then they bring in new people, and they actually become infected by what she's doing, and they start to follow her. It's like one of those really weird things.
Yeah.
That's kind of what social media, like it. To me, that's a really obvious example, and I feel like I'm the only one that would just be like, what kind of Twilight Zone did I walk into?
I would totally say, I would speak, because I'm a speaker, right? So, and again, us Gen Xers are not the type of people that just go, let me just do what they're doing. We go, what the hell are you guys doing? Like we would speak, I would say something, right? If I was on the elevator. I pride myself on, people that say, well, if I'm social, how do I talk to people and how do I become liked and I'm going to go do this thing and how do I get along? And the way that I get along with people is to totally roast myself. Right.
And say stuff like, hey, this is really awkward, but oh well, sorry, I'm awkward. What can I tell you? This is just the way I do it. I just call myself out and get it over with. And you can like it or not, but most people actually, for whatever reason, that seems to break the ice with a lot of people. So I would never sit in that doctor's office for like half an hour and do that. I just would eventually be like,
nope.
I would walk in the first time I saw it. I'd be like, well, what is happening here?
I might stand up and throw my hands in the air, but
Right,
we're
like,
going to do the wave
I
too. I
think-
mean, what's next? You know,
Yeah.
I would say something. I wouldn't just do it. I don't
A lot of
understand.
people are followers.
And I think
There's
that
something,
society, and I think there's more followers
Right.
now than there has ever been.
I mean, people do want to go along. They
everybody
say that
had
there's this
their kind of
underlying
their own
social,
thing.
subconscious to us that
Of course.
we do all want to go along to some degree, and we will do it to almost
We want to fit in. Sure.
a ridiculous degree where something is just not making any sense, and we'll just kind of still,
No, it's ridiculous, and would
you
still
know, and
do
not
it
question
anyway.
it. So
Yeah.
that is part
So-
of the human nature in some way, you know. Anyway,
So, and if we're talking about social
Mm-hmm.
media, and right now we're picking on Facebook, but because we can talk about Facebook straight up. And if you watch that show,
Mm-hmm.
Social Dilemma, you will be shocked at what is going on
Right.
on there. Okay, so like when you say, I mean, like look at
Mm-hmm.
politics on Facebook, right? And I can share a couple things with you here. Being an AI guy myself, AI needs to be, you need to do it responsibly. And I think Facebook is being very irresponsible with their power that they have. They have literally millions of people. And I can tell you from past experience that I could probably tell, if I do a little research on you, I could tell you more than you could tell me what your favorite movie was. And we've done tests on this where we would do profile, what's it called? Profiling, right? You've heard the FBI does profiling and stuff like that. Well, I used to do a lot of profiling, but I would use technology. That's how we did it, right? So I could go to you and say, hey, you know, what's your favorite movie? And you go, oh, my favorite movie is, I don't know, Star Wars. And I go, yep, nope, it's Jaws. And you'd go, oh, yeah, Jaws, right? Wait, how did you know? Well, because you have talked way more about Jaws over the years, and it, you know, I can see your profile. Well, guess what? AI can see that too, and AI is very, very good at it. They don't have, like, for example, you ever play the 20 questions game, the electronic game?
I mean, I know of it, but I haven't done it.
Oh, you can download it. There's one for your phone. It's just do a search for 20 questions, and you can tell anybody to think of anything and answer 20 questions. Within 20 questions, the computer is going to tell you what you're thinking of. Okay, so that is artificial intelligence or a form thereof, right? So imagine that you're posting all this stuff on Facebook, which we are
I know. I
every
watch
day.
people, and I'm just kind of like,
Yes. And people post stuff like, oh, I'm here, I'm there, I'm there, I'm here. And then they wonder why they get messages popping up going, hey,
right.
you know, and they go, I was talking about that with my friend. Nope. What happened was your phone is not listening to you. What's happened is social media is listening to you, and they're building your profile. And yes, you may have been talking about it yesterday, but guess what? Artificial intelligence said, hey, it's about time for David or Lena to be thinking about this. Let's send them a message about that. And you are actually talking about it. See what's happening? That's artificial intelligence. And
You know,
it's scary.
as a DJ, I used to do this thing called, well, I don't even have a name for it anymore because I don't remember what I used to call it. But it used to be like a teaser. I would be playing a song, and I used to run a song under it.
Yep.
And I couldn't tell you how many times people thought that I was reading their minds about the song that they wanted to hear next.
Yep.
However, I would run it at a lower level.
Yep.
A lot of DJs do this. Just so anybody who's a DJ, I'm sorry I gave your secret away because I'm not the only one that's done that.
Right.
But you'll play a song under another song, and it's just it's enough that their brain catches it, but their ears don't hear it.
Right. They hear
And then
it,
you play
but
it
it's
next,
so
and they're like-
subconscious. Yep.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God.
And
this
when you
DJ
play
is
it,
the
they're
best.
like, "Wow, this is the exact song I wanted to hear next." Like, how does this DJ know how everything about how I want to hear what I want to hear next? Well, you know, it's a subconscious thing. It's a subliminal, I guess, would be what I call it, like a subliminal clip.
Which subliminal messages are supposed to be illegal, right? However, they're not being blatant. They're being blatantly obvious about subliminal messaging now, and people are getting it now. Now, I'm going to make a suggestion. If you find yourself being sucked into social media, that's exactly what the AI wants to do, the artificial intelligence of Facebook, for example. So what I do is I literally remove Facebook. I delete the app off my phone, that and Messenger, completely off my phone. Delete it. And I'll leave it off for a month, 1 month. And when I want to go on Facebook, I go onto my computer. And that's it. So now Facebook is not getting my locations and all that stuff.
You're making it.
I'm making it mad too. And I'm telling you what, I get text messages and emails. And when I get on my computer, I get messages being like, install the thing if you want to see this, and install that if you want to see that. They want me to install that, because by them installing it, they have so much more. And they're very, I'm going to tell you that the artificial intelligence is really struggling with Apple users now, because Apple has released a thing now that says, yeah, and for all you Apple owners, if you're wondering what it means when you say ask him not to track me, or ask app not to track me, basically. So Facebook, if you install Facebook and you allow it to do everything it wants to do, not only does Facebook see where you're at, and that's not really what tracking you is happening. What's happening is it knows when you send a text. It knows, Facebook knows when an incoming text, an outgoing text. They know what time your alarm went off. They know every app you use. They're tracking apps as well. And I've already done a test on this, and I could see the messages. I did a go-between. It's my phone. I'll do what I want with it. And what I did is I built a little network in here, and I pretended I was Facebook. And so I was able to capture all the stuff that was coming from the Facebook app. My phone, my choice. You know, they don't want us to do this, and it's not a very easy thing to do. So, but I'll tell you that I let it run for about
don't try that at
hours.
Home, ladies
and
gentlemen.
Don't try it at home. You'll end up with a phone.
Or unless you know what you're doing. Some of you probably do.
You might.
Or
know
if you do, don't tell us. We don't want to know anything about it.
Yeah, I don't know what we do. But anyway, yeah.
Right.
So
but
I noticed that it comes from everything. That's what
Dave will talk about the AI part of it, and he'll talk about the algorithm part of it, and that's fine. The one thing we should probably add is that if it's, I mean, I notice it because like I'm weird and I notice everything. So I notice that the more I look at, the more it feeds me. It feeds me what I'm doing.
Right.
So the one thing I'll bring up about the social dilemma, and I won't anymore, other than that, is just that you are basically with these apps, you are an actual sellable product. That's basically what that is.
100%.
So you're scrolling, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're messaging, and it's watching everything that you do to sell you things. All of the ads that you see coming up are ads that are, you know, I know people make jokes like, oh, I wanted to buy a mattress the other day and now I can't stop looking at it. It's like, or somebody in my house decided they wanted to buy something and the entire house now is looking at some product every time they go online.
That's right.
The algorithm is feeding you products based on what you're doing. So I go online. There's those in Facebook. There's that little teeny section of reels.
Yes.
And I just look at the reels. I just watch what the reels do based on what I watch. If I watch a bunch of like Friends reels, it feeds me a ton of Friends reels, and at some point, all 6 reels are some Friends clip.
That's
I'm
right.
Like, it's giving me back what I'm doing. If I look at a cat or a dog, it'll start feeding me dog clips, you know, things like that.
Of course it will.
Or singers or whatever. There's a topic that I'm looking at, but I'm going to let Dave take all the technology end of it, but I'm going to discuss the psychological end of it.
Sure. So the reason why you're getting that, what the AI is doing is they want you to use it. The more you use it, the more information they have on you. The more information
and also
they have
the
on
more
you,
viewing time you get, the more they can sell you to consume.
The more accurate they become. Look, I had a friend, and I'll be brief. I had a friend who worked with. So I it's not a secret. I used to work for IBM. I was heavily excited to look at Watson and talk to the guys that created Watson. And if you don't know what Watson is one of the most powerful AI computers there are.
I've heard about that in years.
Yeah, Watson is insanely powerful. You can look it up. It's Watson is a very smart computer. And it has what's called cognitive learning. Now, cognitive we talk about is your brain.
Yep.
It actually understands the way the brain works, and it works the same way. It's pretty crazy. So, anyway, a friend of mine was hired by another company that they had, and we'll call an item an oodle-addle. They had a bunch of these items. They had 1 million oodle-addles. and they were sitting on the shelf and they couldn't sell them anywhere. So they used Watson and said, "Hey, Watson, what you're going to do is here's the oodle addle. Here's what it does. Here's what it blah, blah, blah. We want you to scour the internet, and we want you to scour Facebook, and we want you to go through Facebook, and we want you to look at everybody's profiles, and we want you to say, these are the people that most likely will buy this product.
Yep.
And not only that, we want you to build the advertisement for that person. Multiple advertisements for these groups of people that you're putting together."
Right.
And they sold 900 and some odd thousand, 990 something thousand of them in one day. So the computer or Watson was able to look at your profile and say, "Would you buy this?" "Yep, you'd buy this." "Hey, look what I got for you." And you go, "Yep, I want that."
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah,
that's scary.
that's the thing.
My friend he did this job, and then he was like, "I quit the job because I thought, this is wrong. This is bad." He was so freaked out about it, he actually quit that job. And it is, and if you watch that, and we won't keep talking about the show because
well, I have a thing about consumerism anyway, and I'm not going to go too crazy with, just like holidays and birthdays and Christmas, and I have a thing about, I love holidays for the sake of the holiday itself and the time of year.
Right.
Getting together with people that you really haven't seen in a long time, and in the holiday downtime so that you don't work, so you can actually sit around people that you haven't seen all year and just kind of catch up. I love all that.
That's why I love Thanksgiving
but the
so
shopping,
much. It's not a gift-giving shopping thing. I mean, they make it into a shopping
thing.
They'll
right? Make everything into a shopping thing.
Black Friday, the day,
but
the Thanksgiving day, the biggest day shopping.
It's Valentine's Day, it's Mother's Day, it's birthdays, it's Christmas.
Right.
All of this stuff with diamonds drives me crazy. And every time I see a commercial, I'm like, this really wouldn't be as crazy as it is, except for the consumer push for it. And
of course,
we'll go into a little bit of just people that are dating and all that on social media. I mean, you being single and wanting to be with somebody around the holidays, you think that's an accident? It's not an accident.
No, of course it's not.
Advertisement has been feeding you.
If you're alone, you don't shop as much.
Well, yes. Also, and you don't spend as much. You don't shop as much, and you don't actually spend as much money when you do shop. So when you're in a couple status, you just spend more money and throw more money at consumerism. That's why they want you to be a couple, not because they think that you should be with somebody and they want you to be happy, because you spend more and they make more when you're in a couple situation.
Of course.
But to me,
that's why they make you feel bad when
obvious.
you're not.
I guess I spent way too much time in radio, so to me, it's really easy to see it if you're in radio. Even in radio is really not advertising, but I did a whole lot of advertising and promotion in a radio station and sat around ad agencies and looked at all the stuff that we were trying to say and do and all the inflection we did and everything else to just get people to respond and buy things, because radio is part programming, but it's also part sales, and one side doesn't work without the other. So to me, it was really easy. It's almost like marketing 101 to sit around a radio station long enough. You understand that if you hit people 3 times with something, they remembered all kinds of stuff, billboards and all the type of things that you do.
Right.
So when you see commercials come on at Christmas time, that I can't explain it, but if you feel like, oh my God, it's the holidays and I should be with somebody, you can blame your ad agent, your local ad, your regional ad agencies, or national ad agencies for that. That is their fault. They're actually subliminally.
Well, it was a marketing company that made diamonds so expensive. Yes. Diamonds are really not worth crap if you really. It's what you choose to pay, right? Like if I have this bottle cap and I got the bottle cap off my water and I'm holding it up. This little plastic white bottle cap that came on my Poland Springs water. If somebody will pay me $10,000 for this, it's worth $10,000.
Right.
If somebody will give me nothing for it, then it's not worth anything.
Right.
Like people say, "Oh, I've got this coin and it's worth $10,000." I go, "Sell it. See how much it's worth."
Well, it's funny because we live in a society where if you're selling something and you sell it too cheap, people won't buy it because they don't think it's worth anything.
Right.
Instead of saying, "Oh, hey, that's great that it's cheap. Let me have it." They're like, "Oh, why is it cheap? What's going on?" Yep. That's all stuff that you watch commercials feed you that stuff. But
we've learned too good to be true scenario from commercials, right?
But also,
you can buy the cheaper one, but it's not going to last you long.
I say this about people and dating too. But when it comes to commercials, there's only 2 reasons that people will buy commercial time. Usually all companies have a budget for it. So it's not a matter of them going to spend it. It's a matter of where they're going to put it. Because they have a budget built into their their profits every year. What they're selling is either brand new or new and improved. And the only reason that people market something is because it's something you've never heard of or something
Correct.
that sales are going down and they need to improve.
Right.
So you won't even hear about a product. If it's not selling, you'll hear about it. But if it sells on its own, you will never hear of it. That's why you never see
Right. How
a Dodge
often do you
Viper
hear about your
commercial.
local pizza? Correct. How often do you hear about your local pizza place on anything?
Well,
for that matter,
we do,
because
actually.
you go. I
But
mean,
yeah.
we do, but it's not like it needs to be direct. For example, my new company, when we launch our product, we're going to launch it locally, and then when we do a national launch, you're going to see us everywhere. You're going to hate us,
Right.
And you know what? It's purposely done like that because
Saturation,
we need
yeah.
everybody to feel guilty. And I'm going to be straight with you. Everybody's going to feel guilty putting their parents in a assisted living program,
Right.
Because why not use artificial intelligence instead?
Right.
And I'm going to tell you that the commercials will be leading towards making you feel guilty. I mean,
Right.
that's just the way it is. You love your mother, you love your father.
Emotional
they worked hard
response.
their whole life, blah, blah, blah. It's emotional response. Exactly. And I'm straight. I'm a straight shooter. I mean, look, it's a product that, I'm not going to get into that because
Right,
that's
right.
not what I'm here for.
Right.
But, yeah, it's truly an emotional response that we need to have. Right.
Well,
and
yeah,
so,
you do need to have it, but I mean, really, the product or the person who owns the product is hoping you're going to have it. Same thing with
Right.
billboards. You see billboards on the side of the highway. There was a study where they did that. The billboard, you only see the billboards that are gonna that matter to you at that moment. So when you're hungry, they'll place the billboards in places where people go by, obviously, where there's restaurants. But really, you will only see a billboard when you're hungry, and they want to make sure you see the right one. And there's a
Right.
whole team of people that sit and do that. So, you might not see a car, some billboards will just sit there forever and you'll never notice them until you need that product. And they want to just be the brand that you go for because you see it. And
Right.
so a lot of times you won't even remember seeing it because you drive by it all the time. It's crazy though, when you look at this, like the signs of it, I think it's great, but that's not what we're doing today.
yeah.
But
Well,
I'm just
marketing is very
saying-
expensive. That's why.
Right.
Because it's a process. Right?
But it's important for you to understand. Like, it's funny when you go and stand in Times Square. It's like, oh my God, like it's the overwhelming. But your brain probably grabs every single thing that goes on around you, even though it looks like just mayhem,
Right.
because of all the ads that you're hitting you at once. But there are some things psychologically that happen because of social media that I wanted to bring up really quick. One of them is just like the downsides of which it's weird because it's a two-sided coin, but isolation comes from social media. But also people think isolation is cured by social media.
Which is not.
It isn't. It's weird. It feels like it is. I guess it feels like it's, the chemical dopamine is really big when it comes to social media and how much dopamine it produces in your system.
Right.
Likes and shares and things like that.
Of course.
There are people who really are, and it's funny, even me, like even as much as I think it's crazy, I have posted stuff and you will actually be like, oh, nobody liked that. You'll stop and really like catch that and be like,
See,
and
I
then
don't. I have no clue.
I kick myself.
Unless it's a business thing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, most of the stuff I post, I don't know if most of the stuff I post, a lot of it is promotional. But it doesn't mean I care. It just means that I notice it. And I'm like, I get mad that I notice it because I know the social media wants me to do that. They're trying to get me. Yeah, like it's just aggravating because they're infiltrating my brain, which I hate. But as long as you notice these things, I don't think it's a bad thing that it happens. It's really going to be a bad thing if it's subconscious and you're not aware of it and you just respond to it. That's
But
worse.
a majority of people are not aware and they do respond to it.
That's what we're trying to tell them today.
Exactly.
We're trying to help them with that.
Yeah, and people will deny it. And it's so funny because I hear people deny it all the time. And I'm like, your life is social media. Like your life. You cannot here's a test. Put your phone face down. See how long you can actually leave your phone face down. Now sit there and just watch a movie with your phone face down. It's a fact, and they've done doing tests on this, and I don't know the exact number, but it's a high number.
It's because of the dopamine hit.
I know it's a majority of people will literally look down at their phone.
Mm-hmm.
Now your phone goes beep or rings when your phone is
Right.
when you get a text or the phone is ringing.
Right.
People are looking at their phone they're saying every 3 to 6 seconds.
Yeah.
They don't even look away from their phone longer than 3 to 6 seconds. That is insane.
It is.
You have a problem.
It is.
And it's a problem that was created on purpose.
Well,
right?
So we have the ability to be addicted. Dave, you of course know that really well, right?
Yes,
but it's
I
not
do.
necessarily. I mean, there are people that can be addicted to. I mean, I guess the casino thing, happened, and at some point, everybody. Well, I don't know how long the casinos have been around forever, longer than I have. But at some point,
Right.
they became a really big thing, at least where we live.
Sure.
And yeah, there are people that would just go to the casino and they'll just do anything to find 5 cents to gamble and just.
That's right.
And
That's right.
that's that thing. It's that dopamine hit, that weird thing that you pull the lever and you wait and you see what happens. That weird anticipation. People live for that to the point where they'll
Yes.
just go
Yeah.
broke over it.
And it
lose
gets
their
bad. I
jobs
actually had a guy ask me for $1 in the bathroom once. He's like, "You got $1 I can borrow? Or you got $1?
Yeah,
You want to give me $1?" I'm like, "You're kidding me, right?
right. And
You're
you're
at
like,
a
why?
casino and you're asking me for $1?
Right.
You all right?
You're
I mean,
right.
is this the one? Is it going to be my $1 you put in?
I mean, you don't want to be a
$1 million?
slave
I mean,
to, and this
anything.
comes to
I
down
don't want
to
to be a slave to anything.
your sex drive, your ability to reason, your ability to withstand any kind of crazy addiction, all that kind of stuff. So, for me, that's why for a long time I was a smoker. I quit smoking. I don't like anything that alters my thinking or that controls me. It drives me crazy.
Right. And I will tell you, as a smoker, it has me by the balls.
Right. I hate it.
And I'm going to tell you what, it's a horrible, horrible thing. So, like, I quit smoking for 6 years, and I can tell you that when I would walk out the house and I didn't have to think, "Oh, I got my cigarettes," because that is more important than my damn car keys. Many times I've walked out to my car and I got my cigarettes. I don't have my car key.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I forgot the car key, but I didn't forget the cigarettes, though.
Oh, yeah.
And don't forget the cigarettes. So being addicted to anything is a terrible thing.
It is, because it's what if you can't get that thing? You don't want to live like that. So that's why I quit smoking. I mean, there were more than one. I had a niece that was born, and I didn't really want to smoke around her, and there was a couple of reasons put in together that kind of where I was like, okay.
Helped you.
Then once I did, I never wanted to smoke again. Why? Because I was scared to death to have to quit. Quitting was not fun for me, and I just didn't want to go through that a second time. That's the only reason I never started again.
And I can tell you from experience, because I'm a smoker now, I quit for 6 years. I did not have a cigarette. I was a non-smoker, and it was great.
Yep.
I felt good. I smelled good.
Yep.
My mouth tasted different.
I think it was
food tasted better.
when I quit smoking. I had an old boss, and I was working in radio, and I quit. My boss and I were both like, "Okay." He's like, "I need to quit smoking. I'm a smoker. It's terrible. I gotta." And I said, "Well, if you quit, I'll cut down," because I didn't want to quit completely, but I was up to about a pack a day, and I'm like, I want to cut down. I don't want to smoke a pack a day. It's ridiculous. So I want to cut down to 10. Well, he went back to smoking, and I quit. And that was back in 1990. Wait. Maybe 94 or whatever, but I remember one of my jocks, on-air jocks, he was a smoker, and he'd go outside and smoke and come back. And one day, it was probably like a month or two after I quit, he came in the door, and I used to work in this office. There was a glass window. You go all the way around the corner and all the way down the hall and out. He came in the door all the way down the hall in a completely different room, and I smelled him coming up the hall. I mean, it was that, and I was like, wow. I had no idea that I was.
If you're a smoker and you think you
that.
don't stink, you stink. You do.
Right. You can't tell because you're in it, But yeah, once you start to, and I remember one day I was cutting tomatoes, and I was like, oh my God, I can smell the tomatoes. Like, this is crazy. You start to smell things like flowers and things
different.
you're
And that's exactly what social media does to you too. You become addicted to social media.
It dulls everything, right? Your senses.
It does. Yeah. It dulls all your senses. You become part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's
a
in divorce
routine.
cases now, 96 or 94 or some high percentage that in divorce decrees now, it mentions Facebook in 94% or something like that, 94, 95. percent of all divorces in the United States mention Facebook.
Well, there have been some things that have happened over the course of the social media arc, with everything. I think it started with, I want to say like it really kind of started with MySpace, I think, or maybe Craigslist. You recall Craigslist was kind of a thing at one time. I don't know. It really wasn't anything specific. It had all kinds of categories, so it really wasn't a specific type of site. And then MySpace to me was like the first time that like people really built profiles and did things.
Started getting into social media, correct? And like the big.
So we've got MySpace, we've got Facebook, we've got Craigslist, we've got Instagram, we've got TikTok, we've got Reddit, we've got Discord, we've got Twitter, we've got Tumblr, and we've got OnlyFans. So these are the ones that I sat down and went like, let me just list these things, right? This is just like your regular social media stuff. And then there's the dating sites, Plenty of Fish, Tinder, Bumble, OKC, Hinge, Match, eHarmony, and those are the ones I can remember.
And they're all social media. And people don't get that.
Well, here's the thing. I wanted to bring this up, and I'll actually put a screenshot of this up because I still have it. Because I grabbed it. And what was I watching? I was watching some documentary, as I usually do. I think it was a documentary of a woman who, me and my documentaries are crazy. I'm crazy.
No, such.
Well, hey, listen, there's a lot of good information. But anyway. Really, and it was on dating. It was like on, it was probably a one season series about like dating and like the really horrible things that can happen from social media or whatever. And some of the sites, the danger of the sites of people that really aren't screening the type of people that they have on their sites or whatever. And some woman dated some guy and broke up with him. I think she was dating him 3 months and decided not to be bothered. And he like nearly tried to kill her. He ended up hospitalizing her and all this other stuff. But anyway, they actually went and talked to these CEOs and VPs and all these people for these dating sites. And this woman walks into this hallway and she's like, well, we're going to go talk to the VP of Bumble. And she came from Tinder, I think, and whatever. And there's a whole reason and when you walk in and you look at the hallway and the signs, it's like they're all in one building on one floor. Mm-hmm. And then when you really look into it, it's probably like half of the dating sites that this is a wake up call to me. That half of the dating sites that we were dealing with or we are dealing with on social media are owned by the same company. That's a big deal.
Correct.
That is a big deal.
It is.
Because they sell you as if they're competition.
Right.
And if you have any, and I don't, I feel like it's stupid week, so I don't want to say this. Here's
an interesting thing. They share data too.
Right. Well, they have to share data. They're all. Why wouldn't they? They're all part of the same company.
They do. They
do.
Yeah.
So it's like, I used to work for a bunch of multi-club type places, right? And so it's like you can walk in the door and you feel like you want country, you feel like you want rock and roll, you feel like you want R&B, you feel like you want... It doesn't matter. Yeah. And you can go, well, I'm sick of this room, I'm going to go to that room. I'm sick of this room, I'm going to go to that room. Yeah. But at the end of the day, there's only one guy collecting all the money.
That's right.
You know what I mean? At the end of the day, within the clubs, there was actually a competitive spirit within the clubs where they would all try to compete with each other. It would happen in Boston and, some of the...
I used to go to the one in Rhode Island.
Right.
Yeah, I used to go down
So
there.
it's kind of like...
I know what you're talking about.
But it isn't. It's like, it's all going in the same safe at the end of the night. When you really think about it,
it sure
you
is.
get caught up in the like details of the club as you're in it. But when you back up and look at the big picture, you're like, oh... It doesn't really matter which way I went and what room I went to and which one I hated. Because all they cared about is, did I walk out the front door? And if I didn't, then they got my money. So it doesn't matter.
That's right.
This is how dating sites are right now. So and in a way, social media is the same way. But you've got Instagram, you've got Facebook, you've got WhatsApp. Those are all one company.
And for those of you that don't know, Instagram is owned by Facebook.
Or Meta. Mm-hmm.
They're
so fancy.
Yeah, that didn't work out very well for them.
No, but that's okay. By the way. But
because although I do have an Oculus, which is Facebook.
Right. But the only reason I want an Oculus is because I just want to go and sit somewhere and look at a million roller coaster videos. I just want to that's the only thing I want to do with one of those things.
You don't just look at the videos, you ride the roller coasters.
That's what I'm saying. That's the only reason I want to feel like I'm on it, right, without actually having to go do it.
Here's something, since we're talking about the Oculus. The Oculus is created by Meta. It's a but they bought it, and it's phenomenal. I mean, it's great. I love it. Now, here's the thing. Let's say I get banned from Facebook for 30 days.
Yeah.
Guess what happens?
Yeah, you can't use it.
I cannot use my Oculus that I paid $400 for.
Mm-hmm.
That would be like Samsung going, hey, we don't like what you said on our phone,
Right.
so we're going to shut your phone off. You can't use your phone. Imagine. So the thing is that we're really getting to a point where we were talking about social media and how they're being irresponsible.
Right.
That is irresponsible. I paid $400. I can't even play the games that I bought. And the games that I bought, I'm not buying them from Facebook,
Right.
by the way. I'm buying
But
them
it's
from
going
the
through
game
their servers.
Right. Correct. So the thing is that they have the right to block me and prevent me from you picking up my Oculus, my $400 product, and putting it on my face and playing a game by somebody else that I also paid for.
Right.
And that is insane to me. That's irresponsible, because imagine if you have a Tesla car, and I know this sounds ridiculous, but
No, not really.
this is the direction we're heading
really.
in. You have a Tesla car, and let's say Tesla, they get involved with social media, or let's say Facebook buys Tesla. Not that they're ever going to, but let's say, and they say, hey, you know what? We didn't like what you say. We don't believe that, whatever it is. I mean, I told a friend of mine that I was going to kick him in the balls on Facebook, and they said, nope, you can't say that. You're blocked. So I was like, okay, I talk to my friend like that all the time. Now you're telling me how I can't talk to my friends like that.
Right.
I can't be sarcastic any longer. They're trying to change me, who I am, in the way I have my conversations with my friends.
Sure.
But yet they'll post videos of jackass, right? They actually do kick each other in the nuts.
Right.
Okay. But I can't say it. So whatever. Okay, Facebook, you're being irresponsible and you're being
So
way
you and your friend just
over
have to
the
go
top.
off and talk on another platform.
Correct. But imagine if they say, nope, we don't like the way you talk, so we're going to disable your car for 30 days.
Well, with
I mean-
Twitter being purchased, that almost could have happened.
Exactly right. So that's right. So, the thing is that we can't let it become irresponsible like this. And, but people are like, well, they get the fact checkers and they get this and that. And,
Yeah, I mean, I don't. You get to a point where you have. I mean, I don't want to get too crazy with politics, but to me, right now, politics is like
Right.
it's being facilitated like sports teams, and I don't appreciate that.
Correct.
Maybe there are people who may or may not agree with me on this, but I think a two-party system is an absolutely ridiculous thing, and
It's not a two-party system anymore. It's grossly two
right,
parties.
that's what I
at this
mean.
point,
Two
right?
major.
I used to be, and I'll straight up, I used to be a Republican. When people say, are you Republican or Democrat? I go, well, is there such thing anymore?
Well, neither one of those
Because-
things are what they used to be, and to some
No,
degree,
they're
I
sure
understand that things change. I get it, but life goes on and things change over time. So I don't expect anything ever to stay the way it is. I mean, that's life. But
Watch this.
what?
I am I'm not a Democrat. I'm further right than left. But I believe in pro-choice
Right.
to a certain extent.
Right. We're
Now,
not going to go down this road because
you can't. No, we're not. No, but the reason I'm saying this is because today I can't even say that because
Why?
I'm going to piss off somebody. Well, people don't like Republicans that are on the left, and people
Well,
on
but
the right
that's
don't
what I'm
like
saying.
pro-choice.
It's being set up like
It's crazy.
now. Dave and I are from New England, and if you're from New
Yes.
England and you either are a Red Sox fan or you are a Yankees fan, and nobody will talk to you about anything else. That's it. This is
That's right.
to me what politics is becoming.
Yes,
So
it
if
is.
I say, well, I'm not really a big fan of the Red Sox, well, then somebody will scream at me and be like, what are you, a Yankees fan? And I'll get all kinds of insults, and I'll be like,
yeah.
I kind of don't really care about baseball. But to that
Right.
fan, it's like there's two sides to the story.
Yep.
There's no in between, and I'm either
right.
either a friend or a foe, and that's all they care about.
That's
This is
it.
what's happening.
Exactly. Yes.
And I don't. Maybe it's not the way that the system is being set up, but it's the way that it's the way that
It is.
the parties are being facilitated. Or it's just the way that it's becoming this nasty thing, right?
has.
So,
Yeah.
like Dave and I, yes, did I vote for Biden? Yes, I did. Why? Because I'm really not a fan of Trump, but I didn't really want to vote for Biden either. It wasn't something where I had one clear choice that I wanted to make. It was just sort of like in my world, it was like the lesser of two evils for me, but it also wasn't
Right.
like So I don't want to have a conversation with somebody who wants to scream at me about who I voted for because they think that I stand for everything that Biden is. No, I know who he is. I've known he's been in politics for years. I know a lot of his history. But these are the two things we had to choose from. And you could choose a third, but technically a third is really only going to splinter off something that you would normally be voting for. So there's no really clear majority third party, which is what I'm saying. It's not.
Correct. There's not. And
the only other choice you have is to just not vote. So it's kind of like, in a way, they kind of got you by the shorts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, they do.
But anyway,
right? and I do believe that it's going to go wherever they choose it to go to. I think we're so far gone.
Right.
I think that social media is calling the shots. I really do.
I think that people. I think it's a good platform to call the shots. I don't necessarily think it is, because I think it itself is something that's being run and controlled by people behind the scenes.
I can go on Facebook right now and talk all the shit I want about Trump. If I talk good stuff about Trump, I will be blocked, and I can promise you that. And if you don't believe me, do it. Do it. And you will get fact-checked up the ass all the time.
Well,
if you're positive, if you're a Trump supporter, you will get fact-checked. If you're a Biden supporter, you will not. I can say anything wrong about Biden if I'm putting him on a pedestal, and it won't do anything. If I say something wrong about Trump and say Trump is the best president we ever had and blah, 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 and I say something that's not right, they will fact-check that.
Now, let's get out of the politics for a minute and say...
No, it's not.
I mean, right now...
That's not what this is, though. I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking about the responsibility of something like Facebook.
Right.
They can pick a side and manipulate.
We're being... Yeah. I think everybody on Facebook has already been banned, I don't know how many times, just because there are certain algorithms of things that we're saying, you put two words together and it becomes a thing.
Right.
And during the pandemic, at least, it seems like, and not just Facebook, but all the social media, because of everything that was going on with the pandemic, where people just weren't in the office, they set up a lot of automatic algorithms that they didn't really set up correctly, or they didn't put enough detail in, or whatever it is. So we were all just talking and doing our thing on Facebook, and all of a sudden we're tripping all this stuff, and we're like, what is happening? We're all getting banned.
It could be from years ago. I've had things pop up and say,
what
this does not mean that community standards. I'm like, that's 3 years old.
Yeah. They're applying. Dave and I probably can tell you in my head what they're doing is they're applying an algorithm to the entire server. So everything that they just put everything, they put a thing and it blankets everything, and it goes back to the beginning of the platform. And so it'll pull something that you put 8 years ago. Now it's all of a sudden it's no good because of something they just implemented. So I keep trying to tell people this. Well, how come something I said 8 years ago? Yeah, because they just implemented some rule that wasn't there 8 years ago. That's now it's now going in through and combing through all the crap that you said 8 years ago. And it found something you didn't like. Now, it sucks because it's banning you today for something you said 8 years ago, which makes no sense. And when you try to talk to them, they're like, oh, yeah, we're not in the office. We don't have time for this.
You can't talk to them.
So that's the thing. Which, whatever. I mean, when we went through the pandemic, Amazon was the same, and a lot of companies were the same. They were just, everybody went home. They had a really skeleton crew going on, and they kind of made sure that their platforms ran as well as they could with little people, with not very many people. But
artificial intelligence is really taking control over how Facebook is run.
Hey, Skynet. It's not just Facebook. It's happening on a lot of different platforms.
We're of course it is. It's on everything. It's on, everybody's using artificial intelligence because there's no way to keep up with the billions of users you have and the billions of data that it has to be combed through. People can't do that. It doesn't work that way.
You try to tell people on
they have to make
friends of yours on Facebook. Yeah. You try to tell friends of yours, like, well, the other thing that's driving me crazy about social media, I went into the isolation. The misinformation is another thing. And the fact that it's so easy to share information without looking it up. And I believe Facebook and a lot of these applications, they kind of don't really want you to. They just want you to share information. They're looking for you to spread stuff around. If it's, it changed because the fact checkers came in and did, but at one point it was just like you could share whatever you wanted and you didn't have to look it up, and people were just I don't know what's going on with society right now where I feel like it's the dumbing down of, I don't know if it's the world, but America for sure, where they're just reading things and it's a joke about, hey, yeah, I saw it on the internet. Yeah, it doesn't mean it's actual. If you saw it on the internet, it doesn't mean it's really happening. It doesn't mean it's true.
But it's becoming that way, isn't it, though?
Well, I know.
It is. I mean,
and to comb through the
becoming
misinformation, it's dangerous almost to have this much out there where people, it's easy to overcome it. But if people don't want to be independent thinkers, then you got a problem. And this is what's happening. So it's like you can't really stop the information from being misinformed, but you can try to tell people. Please, if you're going to share something, could you just look it up and make sure it makes sense before you share, you know?
So here's another interesting thing, since we were talking about the fact checking. Being a tech guy, I wanted to build a fact checker. It's not very difficult to build. However, where's the data come from, right? So on Facebook, and I know I'm picking on Facebook today, but because that's the most popular one there is on the planet. And so Facebook says they have third-party fact checkers, and they will tell you that. That's true. So me, David Vaccaro, can go out and create my own fact check, and Facebook will accept that as one of their own. Okay. Now, there's a thing called an API, which is where I can go to and pull my data. So basically, I have the front end. They control the back end. So I did a little bit of research on this API because I wanted it. And guess who owns the API?
That's it, though?
Facebook.
That's the only API out there?
That is the only API available. Now, that means that these other companies, and if you check and you do a little research, you'll find that their third-party fact checkers are, in fact, using Facebook's data anyways. So it's kind of like the dating site. You know,
so
there's
many
different dating sites.
Right.
You do your own research. Just that's it. You know, but here's the thing.
Right.
I think that in social media it's such a, everything is supposed to be good, right? And we take it to the whole next level and it becomes bad. It's just the way it is. I mean,
well, it's human nature.
Even it is human nature, and it's unfortunate. You know, we started with social media as a great way to stay in touch with people that are far away because guess what? We couldn't make phone calls.
That's one of many reasons. Yeah, that's an upside to it.
Yes. And then it turns into something now you can have stalkers. You can have, they're always going to find the bad way to use it, and they're going to use it, and they're going to take,
that's everything,
how can we make the most money?
That's technology.
Yes, it is. It's technology in general, even the automobile, right? It's supposed to be a great thing. It turns into a shit show. Now you have no choice. Right. You want to go anywhere. My grandmother used to walk back and forth to the store. Now there's not stores local anymore. They're further away. Right. And they're okay to be further away because guess what?
Yeah.
You want to save $1, you have to drive.
Right.
You can't walk to the store like they used to. Because they used to be neighborhood stores, and that's where everybody did. And now we even watch that because of technology. We're losing the neighborhood mom and pop shops, and everything's becoming big, big, big. Because guess what? Walmart can fill a store because they're using they're using technology to be able to buy at the cheapest and sell at the cheapest. So mom and pop shops can't do that.
Right.
You know, they just can't. So technology has always been a thing where, you know, it starts off as a good thing and then becomes a bad thing. And it's just like anything. You know, you look at, in fact, I'll tell another quick story. I was working for, and I don't want to say the name of the company because there's non-disclosures, but it's a big company that works in technology to help cure cancer. Okay. And they've got this huge device, and people fly in from all over the world to use this machine to be able to test and run different tests. And, you know, they're trying to invent things to help cure cancer. Right. So they wanted to build this system that could compile the data, and it would put it on a disk and then be able to send it to the person automatically. They wanted to send it digitally to them instead of flying them in. Then they had to wait around for multiple days for the data to be created, and then they would hand them the disk, and they would go with the data that they collected. So what they wanted to do was something closer. So I was saying, well, you're sitting here controlling this device. Why can't you control that device remotely? And that was my thing. And I started looking for, how do I control this device remotely we know what servos are, right? Like remote control car, you move the thing back and forth, and the rudder and the whatever.
Right.
So basically, I looked for the technology, and guess what I found? A company called Dildonics, who is at the top of the invention porn, the sex industry, right? They're huge in technology, huge, and they're always leading the charge with technology. So I actually did. I bought the license for it, and I literally got a dildo in the mail and broke it apart and used the service out of it to control this device that is
right.
It's being used today still. So the thing is, and the point was that technology, no matter what, is always going to be used for other people's benefits, whether it's good or bad.
Oh yeah,
And
I mean, there's good and bad
always
in
turns
everything,
bad.
right?
Right.
So getting on misinformation and the actual dopamine hits that people get when they get likes, when they get shares, when they get comments. It's, individually people will tell you, well, that's not a big deal, but it does affect them. It does affect their decisions. It affects the way they do things, what they say, what they don't say. And then there's like the attention factor. And there are people that are out there that I understand are isolated. They really don't have a whole lot of community. They don't have, and to me, social media, like Dave watched me. I built a group. I've got somewhere around 10,400 people at this group at this point, where that's to me a good thing. There's a community of people. We're all kind of the same. We understand each other. We can commiserate. We have conversations. It's fairly productive. I try to keep it that way. So in a way, community, even if it's a community that for an introverted society like ours, for us to talk, we talk when we want. We don't talk when we don't want to. We're not forced to socialize publicly. That's so it's comfortable.
Sure.
To be able to just talk to people or, go into a place and talk to people for 10 minutes when you feel like it and then, go on your way. That's cool. There are people who are in this group and have left most social media, and the only reason they stay with Facebook is because of this group. And so that's cool.
Right. I can see that.
There's also, Dave, you've been in there, so you kind of see how we are in there. That's probably one of the least dramatic spaces.
It's a great group
on Facebook.
Yep.
And then, there's also, I have a bunch of friends that have all moved all over the country. And so it really still is for me really good to be able to open up my social media, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, whatever it is, and be able to see people that I'm friends with and I've known for years in their element. And it's so weird because, we used to get together. Every time I see somebody, I have a friend right now who's in Portugal. She may or may not listen to this podcast, but she's in Portugal at the moment. And every time somebody goes like out of the country or Hawaii or somewhere like that, and they're like, here's what we're doing now. Here's what we're doing now. And I think, God, we used to get together. People used to go on vacation. I know this sounds really weird. There's probably people listening to that are like going to hear this and they're going to be like, we don't even know what you're talking about. You would go on a vacation. You would take your Instagram or your Instamatic or your Polaroid camera or whatever with your Cube flash. Do you remember the Cube flash and the stick flash?
Yes.
You would go on a vacation for like 3 weeks with your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your husband or your family or whatever, take pictures the whole time. You would come back and then there was this thing where you would get together with friends of somebody's house.
That's right.
You would go to you would take your film. You would take all this film, you would take all your pictures. Then you would take the film to this place that would be developed. And it would you would drop off of these rolls of film and be like, God, you just didn't even know if you had pictures.
You have no idea what the pictures were going to look like.
Off. You wouldn't even know if they were any good. You would drop them off.
If your eyes weren't open, too friggin' bad. Right. That's all there is to it.
Or if something would happen.
No filters.
You would take pictures and they would all seem okay, except the film would come off the stick and it would just be no film in the camera. Or you would go somewhere that would be too close to something magnetic and you would wipe the entire roll out. Or it would sit in the sun and all of them wouldn't come out. Like the exposures wouldn't.
Right. Some of them would be bright white.
Or it would look
black
okay, but the
pictures,
room was too dark, so the pictures would come out all black. Like, this is how it would happen. You just would have no idea. It was like weird. You'd get back film and you'd have no idea what you were going to see. And then you would take the film. Some people would take the film once it was all developed, then take the pictures and take certain ones over to the place and have slides done.
Yes.
And we had slide machines. And so you would go to somebody's house
That's
and
right.
they would make fondue or whatever the heck was going on in the 70s and 80s.
Whatever, coffees and cakes.
Right?
And,
The
yep,
champagne
it was
would come
wonderful.
out.
Loved it.
We're gonna bring
the
out some,
champagne.
and you would be like,
Champagne.
all right, here's our vacation. Like, we went on a vacation 2 months
That's
ago,
it.
and here's all our slides, and everybody would get together and,
And
be like,
nobody
ooh,
liked it back then either.
right,
Nobody liked it back then either. They came because they were your friend and they were polite.
right,
But I hated going and sitting there watching. Oh, and this is.
yes. I mean, we were
That's
kids.
the noise the
Dave and I
slide
were
thing
kids,
made.
so we really hated
Yeah,
it.
we were kids.
Because the adults
Oh,
were
yeah, it
a
was
little more
horrible.
into it because they were like, "Oh, I want to go there someday," or whatever reason the adults actually found it more exciting.
I think bullshit.
No,
I don't think they
in my
liked
family.
it either.
I think the adults liked it. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, you do?
but yeah. So it would be, or you would sit around like a table and people would have like photo albums and they'd pass them around.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now it's like somebody can take a picture and put it on Facebook or on whatever, Instagram or whatever, like 5 minutes after they take it. So they're still, it's so weird. People going on vacations and you're seeing their
Yeah.
vacations as they take them.
Live.
I know it sounds
Yeah,
really
nearly
weird. Probably
live.
people are just probably like, what's the big deal? But you have to understand, like, the undertaking there was to get these pictures in front of a bunch of people
Yes.
when you went on a vacation was
Yes.
ridiculous. You know, and
Right.
how expensive it was. But anyway,
course.
so that I love because I have people, you know, all over the country and in some parts of the world that I have one friend that's like in Ecuador and she gets up in the morning and goes, here's the view out and it's beautiful. It's kind of like, wow, you know, like I like to see what, you know,
Sure.
that kind of stuff is cool for me.
It's definitely neat. That's definitely
That's an
a cool
upside
thing.
for me,
That's-
right?
that's
Because
a-
how hard is it to
of
keep
course.
track of whatever, 40, 50
But let me
people?
just share this
What?
with you real quick. All of you that think that your stuff on Facebook is safe, it's not.
Oh, no, of course not.
Because I joined Facebook on an invite years and years ago before it was public. I joined it on an invite, and I've had so many pictures up there. And as you know, something kicked off somewhere along the line, and I think I know what it was. I used to do a live show instead of podcasts like this. I kind of did a thing every day called The Morning Hat. And you remember
Yep.
that? That's how we
Yep.
met.
Or
I think.
it was after we,
And,
I don't know if we met that way, but
Yeah.
I remember it.
Right. So I did the Morning Hat, and I used to do this little show, and I talk about different topics, kind of like what we do here, but a lot less organized, if you can imagine that. But yeah. So, and I get actually sponsored by a sex toy company that's actually has buildings all over the place, and I did a live show from within their place with a live audience, and that got me banned from Facebook and Instagram, and they just deleted my accounts, and I lost everything.
Yeah.
All my videos, all my pictures, gone. So keep in mind, and I recently just went in to try to download all my stuff that I posted to Facebook, and I cannot. It fails every single time. So
Well,
just know that.
right.
that,
I mean,
you know,
I know, I see
keep
the
your
same
pictures
thing.
on your
There are
phone.
people who are like, well,
Yes.
you know, I'm sure Facebook would love it for you to use them as a storage facility for all of your stuff. But make
Right.
sure you do not upload your stuff to Facebook if you want to keep it. Make sure you keep it somewhere else because it is
Correct.
it becomes their
That's all I'm
property.
saying.
And these things that you
That's
put up
heartbreaking.
online that says, there's a thing that is going around, and every time I see it, I roll my eyes. It's like, I refuse to allow somebody to whatever. That's all. Don't even bother with that. That's that thing.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, that's
Once
dumb.
it's on Facebook
Yeah.
or once it's on any kind of social media, they have, and you can go check. I haven't looked at it in forever, but if you go when you're signing up for Facebook, there's a little disclaimer in there that you can read, small print.
Yeah.
Anything you upload to Facebook or you say on Facebook becomes their property.
Their property,
And
right.
and a lot
So,
of that stuff is
yeah.
you know, I mean, you could be, there are people like, there are private investigators, or I mean, if you're kind of an idiot and you post stupid stuff, it is going to come back to haunt you.
Of course. So, and I tell people that all the time. Like, some people will send me messages, like employees and stuff, over Facebook, and I'm like, do not talk about work stuff on Facebook ever. ever, because we have things that are called non-disclosures, and they're like, well, I'm just talking to you directly. I go, no, but you're not,
Right.
because Facebook has the right to read every single thing we
Right.
write back.
And
forth.
also,
how do you think they say that's not appropriate?
that thing where you go online and you say, I mean, your employers to some degree have the right to look up. I mean, that's another thing I see a lot, and I'm kind of like, oh my God. I have friends that own businesses and they run businesses, and can I just say, like, are you crazy? I've seen my friends go online and rant about some really crazy stuff that own businesses, not only personally, but from their business pages. And I can't understand, you know, you if you are a company or a person who owns a company or is managing a company, or even if you have a private account, to go online and to scream and yell about your political stuff, or
right.
just to use, I can't explain it, but if you're just kind of going on and using all kinds of drama and things like that, I mean, you have customers, and
Just know
half of your customers will always
public.
walk away from you. It doesn't make any sense for me.
They should.
No matter,
they might,
that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't. It doesn't really matter what your political affiliation is. If you're a business, you're a business. And if you want to make money, money is money.
Yeah.
I mean, green is green. It
Right.
doesn't matter. So for you to go on and like get pissed off like one half of a political, or a partisanship of any kind makes no sense to me. And when I see it, I'm like,
Yep.
are you crazy? What are you doing? You know, like, I guess it's whatever you want to do is your life, but it's like, it's not really unprofessional when I see that. It's just really unprofessional.
Yeah, just to smash. Just remember that your Facebook is not private.
It's not private. It can be used against you.
Yes, it can.
If you just stop and think before you post, like, who might, I mean, you have no idea, especially if you post publicly, and even if you don't. I mean, I have friends that don't post publicly, but it doesn't really matter. But if you're posting publicly, and there's, I mean, that post can end up anywhere. Like, it's just crazy to me that you think, don't get me wrong, I understand a lot of people are like, well, why would anybody be worrying about what I'm doing? But I'm telling you, it never, once you put something up online, it never, ever, ever goes away. It never goes away.
Oh, no. I can tell you that I had a
metadata,
meeting
and
with
that's
this
it.
guy. I had a meeting with an investor, and he was going to invest in my company, but the amount he would have invested would have put him on my board. I looked at his Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay. And I can tell you, I did not want that man on my board.
Mm-hmm.
Just the stuff that he posted seemed very juvenile to me.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I get it. We do have I've posted political stuff as well. You want to have a discussion with me about politics? I will have that with you. And I think that you'll find that I'm not irresponsible with it, though.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care who you voted for. That's your constitutional right, and I stand by that 100%. Right. I stand by the Constitution completely. I'm not a bigot. Mm-hmm. I don't hate anybody who voted against the person I wanted to be president. Right. I don't care about all that. That's not what it's about. But when somebody shows me that they are a bigot, or shows me that they are very prejudiced or anything like that, I don't want,
just that
I
they
don't
have
want
a
that
disrespectful idea of human beings. They can't make sound decisions, or they're not grounded or centered.
Correct.
And I know,
I don't,
David, I don't know if David and I sound like a couple of snobs, but, there's just some, I don't know what it is. People just, I don't know if it's when I first saw The Real World, I was like, these people are never going to be able to like deal with all these cameras around. And it was amazing to me how quickly they forgot there were cameras.
They did.
And it's like one of those things to me. It's almost like that same dynamic where Facebook is like, people just forget that they're talking to several million people. And they just say really dumb stuff. And it's just kind of like, I just kind of go, I cringe. I have that, whatever that German word is for like secondhand embarrassment, where it's like, shooting fraud, where it's like kind of like, oh my God, like it's just, I cringe watching someone else put themselves through it.
Because you don't realize it. So social media can destroy your life.
It can,
right?
So
I mean, did you watch Don't Fuck with Cats?
I haven't seen that yet, but I just got done with that.
Holy
I just got done with that
God
the most hated
almighty.
man in the internet one, and it's kind of like
that was wonderful too. I loved
it. What I loved about it, I didn't obviously love this dude and everything he was doing, and I had heard secondhand about like revenge porn and stuff like that. I had heard about that. But I really wasn't. It was kind of after my time, so I kind of wasn't really involved in the details. I didn't really understand it until I watched this Hunter Moore thing. However,
yeah, it was a lot less. It was a lot
really
less.
exciting to me was to watch these people on the back end go after IP addresses and all that. That was the stuff that was really cool to me. These investigators that just kind of go through tons and tons and tons of data on the back end and find this dude's house and find, like all of this stuff, the email addresses and how many people that he, grabbed out of their, I don't think it was their Google accounts, right? When he was going in and
they hacked a lot of people. Well, yeah. I mean, look, I still get that same type of hack today. Yeah. I still get that, hey, I can't get into my account.
Yeah, I've heard about it, but I've never had anybody do it. I would never do it.
I've actually had it many times.
I'd be like, no, that's your problem. I'm sorry.
You're telling me that you're going to, it's going to,
it doesn't actually make sense.
Your password to my, no, that's, but people that don't understand technology, it's a very simple hack. So if anybody ever tells you and they're your friend, and it's very simple to create a new account as your friend and copy everything they got and then be like, oh, hey, I lost my account, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to get back into my old account, but I lost my password. And can you, I'm going to have a text. I'm going to send it to your phone because my phone's out of minutes. And
nobody's phone's out of minutes anymore.
You think they're your friend.
It's an old one.
You think they're your friend. Well, yeah, or they'll say, I don't have my phone or I changed my phone number. So can I use your phone number? And, I've said yes. And then when they say, what's the thing? I go, oh, it says 12 fuck you. That's the number. Because I'm not stupid.
It's just...
but people do it. And all they do is say, here's the code that was sent to me.
It's for two-part
and guess what you're giving them?
They wanted you to.
It's two-part.
That's what they want.
Two-part authentication on your stuff.
Yes.
So once they're into your stuff, they go through your emails and they lock you out. What they do is create another email,
right?
To create a secondary
backdoor.
Email, and now they created a backdoor to get into your email.
So no matter what you do, they can pull it back.
They can.
And then I saw
back.
some people that were like, well. I mean, I'm not gonna pass judgment because, like, again, I'm an older person, so because of I don't get the selfie thing. I just don't get the selfie thing. If you know me really well and you've seen my Facebook, you'll see me say it. Hey, I'm doing this today and I'm doing that today, but I'm not gonna put a picture up of myself because it's nothing to do with what I'm saying. Because I see people that are like, oh, I don't know. They'll just put something insignificant on, I don't know what, and they'll just put a picture of their face, and I'm like, why am I looking at this person's face? I just don't.
Right.
Again, I have an analytical mind, so it doesn't make any sense to me when people do that.
Yeah.
I'm like, is there a caption? Am I supposed to be looking for something? Why is this picture here? Right.
Right. So, no, we're never going to get it.
And I don't, and that's fine. Not. But I'll say, listen, I woke up this morning and I'm having a cup of coffee and blah, blah, blah. And I take a picture of it, but I know nobody cares, including myself,
Right.
Other than maybe my dog. I'll put a picture of my dog up because he's better looking than I am. I'd look, but I never put pictures of myself when I'm trying to tell you something. It's just, it's a kneecap weird sideways thing that has nothing to do. So anyway, I see these people in this documentary that are like, oh, I just thought I was just by myself in my room and I just thought I would take pictures of myself in my underwear. And I'm like, how does this something dawn on you that you want to do that?
Well, okay. So there's this thing and I get it. People take pictures of themselves nude because they want to see what other people see and they set up the camera and set the timer and they stand there and they turn around. Whatever the case, I don't either. I don't take pictures of myself naked because I know what I look like. I have a fucking mirror. You know what I mean? Whatever.
Right, but it's okay. To me, my phone is if I take pictures on my phone, I have storage with Apple right there. They've got pictures of me if I did that before I put it anywhere, right? So
that's right.
Then I lose myself. Let me send it to myself so I don't lose it. Why? All of these steps, I'm confused. I'm scratching my head about all of this from the beginning.
Well, and what they do is they send them to themselves in email,
right?
So that way they have a copy of it hidden away
but
somewhere.
It's still
and that's what they feel
a
like.
Digital copy.
But that's a way for
somebody to get their hands
else.
on.
Yes, it is. It's every picture we take is a digital copy, right? So, and look. I'm not going to go and wreck this because I like getting naked pictures from people. So I don't want them to go, don't do it. Look.
I do not. So
just
don't send me anything. I don't want anything.
Here comes one now. But yeah, so the thing is that yes, your pictures in digital format are going to remain always somewhere, right? Yes, I mean I've got pictures on my phone from when I first got my first iPhone. Okay, I have text messages that go all the way back from my first iPhone. I don't delete anything from my phone.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
Unless it's a picture that I accidentally take and it's like my like eyelid or something. I'm like, oh, I don't even know how I took that picture. I'll delete it. But I've got pictures that go, like I said, all the way back to the very first iPhone. I used to do a backup and save it, and then when I get the new phone, I'd do a restore, and there it was. And so I can and it's funny too because there are conversations because the cool thing about the iPhone is you can do a search.
Right, I know.
On and your iPhone is basically social media as well.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I always have these. I watch so many documentaries that I'm always worried about what will people find when I'm killed. So I always watch people. People like.
Are you going to be killed?
I don't know, but if I am, I always want to make sure that all the crap I leave behind is people aren't going, what is this? I always think of that.
Oh God. Yeah, if I ever got murdered and there was this big documentary on me, there'd be shit all over the place. They'd find all kinds of crazy stuff. Maybe you don't watch enough documentaries, but this is where my mind goes, right? I do. So, I do, because I think, oh my God, you're right.
So it's kind of like I'll just be looking through and go, oh, I want to make sure I delete this picture and this picture because I don't want somebody to take a picture that I can't stand and use it in my obituary or something. Oh, right. Because I'm dead and I can't make any decisions here now, right? So I want to make sure that what people have to choose from is something that I would want. Although I'm dead, so what do I care? But I'm just saying.
Right.
At the end of the day, I don't really want a bunch of mystery crap to be floating around and people just be like, what?
Oh, I do.
I don't.
Oh, I do. You know what? I think I'm going to set up my life like that. I'm going to set it up so it can be, when I die, there's going to be like, oh my God, look at all this shit we found. And I'm going to make it look like all this crazy stuff happened.
I am going to hire somebody to show up at my funeral with an umbrella and a trench coat and a really big envelope so that they think, something is, there's going to be an inheritance or something's happening.
And then just have them leave at the end.
I just wanted to quickly bring up, now that we're talking about attention and appearance, we're talking about appearance because we're talking about pictures, filters, and I know how we all know how Dave feels about filters, right? And he's already growling. I have actually taken, and maybe that's wrong, I've taken, shame on me, I've taken screenshots of filters here and there where I've just been like, I cannot tell that this person is a human being. It actually looks like they're an alien.
Oh yeah.
I just have to look at this. I have to sit and look at this with a cup of coffee and be like what is this person doing? And it might not be somebody. I go through dating sites now as a girl, right, and looking at guys' pictures. A lot of you guys out there have heavy filters, and I don't understand. And I'm not saying that it's look at. I'm not saying men or women should have filters or not filters. It has nothing to do with that. But it's weird to me to see men do that, but they do.
Well, here's the thing. Here's a dead giveaway, and I'm going to tell you, ladies, when you take a picture of you and your boyfriend or you and another guy, and the guy looks like a woman, we know you're using a filter.
Well,
because
you
that's
could see
ridiculous.
the filter on her face anyway. It's not hard
of course
to see that, but when somebody applies a filter so heavy that I can't tell, I can't actually see their face. I just can't see it. Okay, it literally looks like they're looking at me through some kind of fog glass.
It takes away wrinkles. It separates their eyes more. It makes their eyes bigger.
Right. It just to crazy. The point where it becomes so blurry that it almost looks like it isn't a picture of an individual human being at all. You're like, okay. I can understand not looking like you used to look, and I can understand. We all, as women, have to go, okay, I'm not getting any younger and things are changing and I don't really, I wish I looked like I did when I was 25, but I don't know. We all have to figure out.
But you don't.
You don't, but you have to figure out how to navigate that, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe men don't care.
Makeup, I don't even mind makeup. I don't even mind if a girl puts on makeup. That's a real life filter because you know what? When you show up at the club or a bar or I'm meeting you at a restaurant or for coffee and you show up and I don't fucking recognize you,
Right.
that's a problem.
Right.
Like, I've been looking at your pictures for
I mean, way before filters, I'll say that I had been on dating sites before where I'd meet up with a guy and he was literally showing his picture was 20 years earlier than he really.
Yeah.
So
right.
I'd meet
That's-
somebody
yeah.
out and be like, or excuse me, I would try to meet them out, but like never know if they were there because it would be like somebody that I didn't recognize at all. Because, or
Right.
it was quite obvious that
Yes.
they were 20 years older than their picture.
Right.
I've never understood that. There is a friend of mine today that posted something on Facebook about she's talking to men and they're like they have PTSD from being like catfish so much or whatever the case may be. And she's like, what are these women? What are you women out there doing? Like, what is the end game? If you're the type of woman who is like, let's say you've gained 30 pounds and you don't want somebody to know that, you get there and you're going to look like you look. So what is the end game? Why are you trying to deceive people before you get somewhere to look that you look different than you do? At the end, you're going to look like you look. You can't hide. At some point, you're going to have to be you.
And here's this, the selfie.
Well,
with
the
phone
angle.
way up
Yeah.
here, the angle. Okay, listen, ladies, and I'm going to talk to the ladies because I don't go out and meet men that send me their picture. But yes, you do look thinner when you're holding the phone up in the air like that. I am not 45 feet tall. I'm not going to see you like that.
Right.
I'm going to see you straight on. And if you don't look good with a picture straight on, then
Right. Like you just,
at least let me make that choice.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's the thing.
Because
I mean-
I'm expecting something. When I'm expecting something different, like, look,
well,
if you said to
starting
me,
off the
hey,
relationship or whatever it is on sort of a
yeah, it's a dishonest
step
thing.
forward
You know,
or whatever.
you're misleading. You're being misleading.
Right.
And I know they look great, and yes, we get to see the cleavage too. Yippee! But the thing is that you can see cleavage from straight on too, ladies, if that's what you're, because that's not what the angle is about. The angle is about making your head look bigger and your body look thinner.
Yeah.
That's what it does. And I'm not stupid. And when I see those pictures, I go, can you send me a picture just like straight on?
Right.
Because that's what I'm going to see when you walk in. I'm not 14 feet tall.
Right.
So, I'm not going to be towering over you like that unless you're 5 feet tall and I'm 6 feet tall. So I may kind of get that angle, but
Right.
I got to
But still,
stand over you.
you're
a
going to
little
be
bit.
sitting
It's
across from
just
somebody
still-
at a table at some point, and that angle is not going to be
Correct.
happening. So
That's right. It's not.
I understand. Like I said, I know it sounds really weird, and Dave's like, well, we've kind of sort of had this conversation before. I mean, as a woman, if you want to take pictures of yourself that make you feel better about you, and it's got nothing to do with anybody else,
Of course.
okay. I don't knock that. But we all are who we are. I think the reason that I think social media has forced us into like this, I need to make sure that there's this appearance and this standard that we're all trying to now like meet that doesn't exist. It's just like a non-existent standard unless you're 22.
Well, watch
What?
this. Ladies, be honest with yourself. You take a picture straight on and post it on Facebook. You take one at that crazy angle with a filter on. Which one gets more likes?
Yeah, well then, obviously, but this is all
Why? Obviously, okay. So that's big. That actually is an issue. I watched a documentary once about these very popular people on the internet. I forget what it was called. It was interesting because this girl was like, she was young. She was like 17 years old, and she would post a picture, and if she didn't have at least 1,000 likes within 5 minutes, she
Right.
deleted it because she was embarrassed.
well. That's
that
the
it
thing.
didn't
Yeah,
have
that's
1,000
that thing
likes.
that.
It's like what is
Right.
going on? So,
And like
but
I said,
I don't understand. The
I don't
whole like
either.
thing.
That's the
I don't.
attention. That's
And-
the dopamine. There's some kind of, and maybe you and I, Dave, are oblivious to this, or whatever. We don't get this, or it doesn't happen to us.
I don't.
But there's, there are some people that there's an attention factor that they like. There's something about you and I don't know how much of I'm very intrinsic, meaning if you like me, if you come along and say, hey, how you doing? And you like compliment me, and I don't feel like, I can't explain it, but nobody can really come over with a compliment and make me feel better than I already do. You can also not
Right.
come over and insult me and make me feel any worse than I do. So it's
That's
all
right.
internal for me.
Yeah.
And that's okay. There are people who have external validation that they need. That's the way they're wired. That's fine. I don't have that.
I mean, if somebody comes up to me and says I'm a handsome man or something like that, that makes me feel good.
Yeah, I don't. I'm a woman, so it's all the same. I'm not saying. I just don't. I think it's a bunch of BS.
Do I thrive on that? No, I don't, because it's just never been something that am I satisfied with the way I look? I'm very happy with the way I look. I don't care. I don't need somebody to tell me, "Oh, you're handsome," because I feel good. It doesn't make a difference because this is what I look like. It doesn't matter if somebody thinks that I'm handsome or if I'm ugly, because this is what I am.
That's how I
feel.
Like if I'm not happy with the way I look, then I'm not. And it doesn't matter. You can tell me all day long that I'm wrong and all this other stuff. You can tell me whatever you want.
Right.
It really doesn't make it rolls right off me, and it doesn't make any difference. And it's annoying.
Sure.
And I'll be like, yeah, I'm done listening to this. Yeah. Listen, I know what I want and what I don't. And it's the same thing when I'm in a good mood and I feel like I look good or I'm in a good place. You can't tell me I look worse than I do, and me actually absorb it. It doesn't work, right? So this has been a problem over the years. There have been people that have not been able to affect my mood, and they don't like that. But that's another story.
Well, you hear people say it all the time. I'm really feeling myself today. Right. I love the way my makeup came out. Well, good. Then nobody can say anything to hurt that,
and nobody should, right? But there are people out there that, to me, the intrinsic or extrinsic. It's obviously better to be an intrinsic person, but I understand that there are people that are wired for external. It's just the way some people's personalities are. Mostly extroverts, they're the types that they like validation from the outside. They want the prize. They want the trophy. They want somebody has to come give them a candy bar, and otherwise they're not happy they did something. The accomplishment is nothing if somebody doesn't come along and give them accolades for it. I get that. Right. It doesn't. It's nice, but for some of us, it isn't.
It's a nicety.
Right, it's not. But it's not motivational.
I mean, I can.
For me, like.
Yeah, it's not right. So one of the things, and we talked about football earlier before we started this podcast. We were talking about football. I played football in high school, and I won some awards. And because I didn't have family there, enjoying me receiving the reward, it didn't feel as good as it would have because my friends would get the awards too, and their family's like, yay! And I didn't get that, and it kind of sucked. And I'm not going to say it didn't. It did. I think maybe that's why today I don't give a shit if you like my stuff or not, because it all stems from childhood.
It does. And I've always, and because of my childhood as well, I've had to regulate my own accomplishments. I've just had to, because I had a family that just didn't acknowledge stuff like that. I had a family that, or I had very close caretakers that really kind of a lot of times minimized my stuff. I'd be excited about something and they'd tell me I needed to stop being excited about it because it was no big deal. I went through that a lot as a kid. So I still, obviously I have this little guy or this little woman up in my brain that kind of repeats a lot of the crap my mother said to me when I was young. And that's fine. But what I'm saying is there are some people that it's more important to them to get some kind of outside recognition. So those are the people that I think that are really, really prone to like these likes and comments and this external whatever, right? So they'll take something down.
And it's from total back to social media.
Saying.
I mean, and we're talking about this. Yeah. Your likes that you're receiving are mostly people that you don't know, that don't even matter in your life. And so to take such pride in that, it could be, you get 1,000 likes. How many of those people do you actually know? Right. Does it even matter to you? That's why I don't think I care much about the likes, because I have a lot of friends on Facebook that are not really my friends. They called friends, which is crazy to me. They're not. They're just connections. They're not even connections. They're just, I don't even know what the hell I would call them.
I would say that they're indirect networking, whatever. I mean, it depends. I think it's just whatever. So, I guess we'll have to come up with a word.
And I use Facebook heavily for networking. That's really what I use Facebook for. At the beginning, yes, it was all my friends, and that's all it was. And I think at the beginning of Facebook, I think I had, when it was the invite, I think I had like 9 friends. And then it grew, and as Facebook became more popular, I think I had something like 30 or 40 and family members and stuff like that. Now I've got,
Right.
I don't know how many friends I have right now, but
Yeah, it becomes a marketing
with my
tool
old
of
account,
some
I had 5,000 friends. I had the max. You could maxed out at 5,000. So then if a real friend came along and goes, hey, you on Facebook? I go, yeah, hold on a minute. Let me delete somebody. And I delete somebody and I go, quick, do it right now. Friend request me. And otherwise you won't be able to. And, then I'll accept it right now. And it's crazy. I could go through. I look at the list right now. If I look at my list of people, the friend requests I have, I don't know any of them. None of these people.
I mean, I know.
I don't know any of them.
Some of them.
Some of them I do. No,
Yes.
of course. But like, I have a list that I have not accepted.
Oh
is what I'm saying.
yeah.
I've
No,
got this big
that's
long list.
that's.
And
I have the same thing. I have that list that's
lot of
grown so
friend
much that like
requests.
it just looks like a nightmare. So I just don't even look at it anymore.
I don't
Because
look
I'm
at it either. Yeah, it's
because
just
I hate having things like hanging around that I need to clean out. And so I
know,
kind of look
I
at
do
that
too.
like, oh, I need to
Can't
clean
stand
that
it.
like my refrigerator almost. But like, well, I mean, I obviously do that.
holy cow, we're whispering
Yes.
to each other. You know why we're whispering?
Because we went over.
Because we think this
big
is
surprise, big shocker.
this. I know, right? This might be part
Yeah,
two you're
probably.
listening to right now.
You probably are. And so
Yeah.
we might as well keep going, and we're not going to go for that much longer because I know
Well,
you
no,
need to
we
eat.
can't make it. Part
No, we're not
Yeah,
that
Adam.
far into part two. I think we're only an hour in.
Oh, we're an hour and 43
Okay.
minutes in, roughly.
No, because we didn't really start at.
Oh yeah, we started pretty close. That's why I called you early.
No, all right, all right. I
So
think we
maybe
went 50.
10
All right.
minutes.
Well, let me run over some stuff then.
Yeah, of course.
Let's
we'll
do
what
our
we do.
thing where we just bring up a couple things to make sure that people are aware of, like reality versus your avatar, who you are versus who you present yourself as on social media. The difference between the two, and then to realize the people that you're seeing on social media, how much you think their life looks like. It's a roses and puppy dogs and rainbows, and understand who they are, especially if you know them in person.
Right.
So use all of your real friends, all the
Right.
people that you know in person, and
Yeah,
think of
you
that,
still might
right?
see a persona. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to build a persona,
No, there's nothing wrong with
go
that
ahead
either,
and
but
do
don't
that.
get
And-
confused and think that it's life. That's all I'm saying.
Correct. It's
Yeah.
not. Like I'll give you prime example. I had a persona, and a lot of people that know me know that I used to be in a rock band. My stage name was Cry. People didn't know my real name
Right.
was David at all during that. That was a persona that I built, and that human being that I was being was a portrayal of what the rock and roll frontman should be. It's not really what I believed
Right.
in life necessarily. I mean, I
was an
did get
alter
sucked into that
ego.
persona pretty bad. It was totally an alter ego, and but people believe that like hook, line, and sinker. And I can tell you right now that you look at these guys like your famous actors and actresses and stuff, and you go, oh my God, they're so fabulous. They love puppy dogs and they love this. It's a persona. You have no idea who they are.
Now they're calling it a
And
personal
that's-
brand. I mean, technically, that's what they're doing now. They are.
It
a
is.
product,
It's a
yes.
brand. It is. It's a brand, and the brand may not be who the person actually is. And the same thing is happening on what's it called too. So that's where we need to realize that on social media you can build a brand, and that's okay. But on a dating site you should
But
not
just
be building
don't try
a brand
to.
because
Don't start
you are
thinking
not-
that. Right. Don't start thinking that these
Right.
people that you see online, or especially if you don't know them, are people that you need to like now keep up with and compete with. There are a lot of people online that you are just not what they say they are, and they are presenting something that is like completely false and
right.
over idealistic to who they really are. I mean, we all know that somebody that's just everything they put on social media is the most wonderful thing in the world, and we know them personally, and we know that that's not true. So think of that.
Of course.
Just think of that.
And but also think about this, right? Let's say I don't know. Let's say I'm skateboarding, which that would be funny. But let's say I'm skateboarding, right?
Tony
and
Hawk.
I do this amazing cool trick. Yeah, let's say I'm Tony Hawk and I do this amazing cool trick, right? I'm not going to put videos of me failing all the time. I'm going to put videos of the good one
Right.
for you to see. So what you got to remember is that although you're seeing the best part of people's lives, because people don't post the bad parts of their lives. Well, I shouldn't say that because people do talk about
Yes,
the bad
there are
parts
some
of their
people
life.
that go
and
online
that's a
and
whole other.
it's
That's
like
a
their
whole
personal
other
therapist.
episode.
But yes,
my God.
yes,
Yeah.
there are people who
So,
do that too, but that's also for attention and likes. And
that's right. It is.
vague booking, which is somebody that goes online and goes on and on about how horrible everything is, but they don't tell you what it is because they want you to ask. That's my favorite thing.
Correct.
Well, it's not my favorite thing. That's sarcasm. It's really not.
I understand your
yes,
sarcasm.
so it's like
Very much so.
if this person thinks they're going to act like this or whatever the case may be, and you kind of like feel like saying to them, why don't you sounds like you need to personally call somebody and give them some shit. It sounds like we're reading about something that has nothing to do with any of us. That you're looking to direct this towards somebody. Why don't you directly call or text that person that you're bad at and go deal with it instead of, talking to 500 other people about, something that, and we're all, so that everybody can say, oh, are you okay? Is everything all right? It's a way to grab and pull sympathy and try to put a mystery up, try to get people to figure out what's going on. It's a way to get attention. And
yes, it is.
Whatever. I just, that does happen as well. And then there are people who are like, nope, I'm perfect. Everything about me is perfect. I went on the perfect vacation. I bought the perfect car. I have the perfect girlfriend. I have everything is perfect.
Right. Yep.
So, I think that's fairly close to the end.
Well, we could always do another one like at a different time because there's more things that. So
I do want to. There's one thing I want to. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, let me just say this particular episode brings a lot of areas that I think that could be spun off into their own topics as well. For example, the wanting the attention. We could make a whole topic of that. So go ahead.
We can make a whole topic of actually talking on social media, interacting on social media. That was so funny because it was one of the first things we said and never brought up.
Yes. I know.
Because we did a whole thing on interacting socially with people and in person and how to talk to people in person. So I'm thinking we should also do something like a side piece for people who really want to interact online and what the best way to do is.
Right.
So that because people have, just so you know, people have asked me about that part of it too. Yeah. So,
yeah, I think it's futile efforts too. It's so difficult. So we should do a topic on that for sure. Because I think that'll be a whole episode.
Just to go along with, or as a kind of a companion to that social interaction in person piece. Just because it's a little bit of a different story when you're messaging and texting and things like that, and not dealing with in person. It's a little. But we shouldn't. We should definitely navigate that.
Yeah, we absolutely will because I think. Well, also if you'd like us to do an episode on that, send us a comment.
Yeah, or whatever. If there's anything else that we haven't done that you want to hear us do, that's obviously within the confines of this topic. About life and people and relationships and that kind of stuff. If there's anything that we haven't touched on that you would want us to discuss, or you would like to come on with us, we're still waiting for those people to come on with us, and we can, we try to give them some advice.
Oh, I actually have a lot of requests, and
okay,
so far there's nothing that really captured my attention as much as I would think. That's the thing, and now the people that are listening to this are going to be like, "Well, fuck off." I know why.
Right.
Are you talking about me? Yeah.
Well,
maybe.
we have. Let's just say we have yet to pick the right combination.
Correct.
And I agree. Exactly I've had a couple people ask me questions too, and I'm kind of like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
Anyway,
it just doesn't excite me yet.
Okay, and it has to. It does have to. We have to be riveted, and we have to be engaged.
I have to be passionate about what we're talking about, right? And I'm going to tell you what. You know what? Our very next topic is going to be me eating my dinner. I have not eaten supper yet, and it's late 30.
Late 30.
I'm so hungry.
Yeah, I ate right before, 30. So and plus I've decided I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna.
I was going to, but I got tied up. I was a little tied up, so I rushed here to get to be here on time. So
Anyway, social media, there it is. If there's anything that we didn't bring up that you were hoping we'd talk about, let us know. We'll wrap
Yes,
it up
please.
into a new one. Or we'll roll it into a new one.
And guess what?
Yes.
I have not been Lena.
I have not been Dave.
No, but I've been Dave.
I have been Lena.
And you've been Lena.
And you're not. You
That's
never
right.
will be. Isn't that cool?
That's right. I won't. No, I could identify as Lena. There could be an
We're
argument
not
here.
going to have one. We're not going there, Dave.
I'll take it to the federal
I'm
court.
telling you, I'm gonna. We're gonna smooth out Dave's edges if it's the last thing I do. Yes,
Never
it
gonna
will.
happen. Not in a million years.
That's already
No
starting to
way.
happen.
You know what? Listen, I'm gonna start hugging
No.
you then.
No. Okay. He knows that's gonna stop everything.
Okay, you guys, it's been wonderful.
Yes.
I'm starving to death. And yes, and don't forget, I like coffee, and so
Yep.
does Lena. We love coffee, even whether we got rough edges or round edges or soft edges, whatever we got.
BuyMeACoffee.com/Lena and Dave. And
place.
LenaandDave.com. This is www.LenaandDave, LANAandDave.com for everything you're looking for. All of it's in one place. Go find us, subscribe, give us a 5-star review. Give us a review, give us 5 stars, give us a little blurb. It helps. And have somebody that you know subscribe to us today. Have a good one.
That's a good one.
All right. See you guys soon.
Next week.
Mhm. Hey, you just listened to Love and Life with Lena and Dave. Thanks for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please share the podcast, leave us a comment or a review, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any new content. We'll see you soon.